Okay, welcome to Monday morning Red Pants Yoga. We're going to do 60 minutes of the Bikram series, going through the 26 poses, one time each, and let's get right to it. I had a morning this morning where, I woke up, didn't necessarily feel like doing yoga, and I thought to myself, I know that feeling, I've had that before, and the answer to not feeling like doing my yoga practice is to do my yoga practice. So that's what we're going to do this morning. Let's go ahead and get started with pranayama, standing deep breathing. You're going to stand comfortably on your mat, comfortably but very mindfully, which means you're going to check in with your feet. They should be together, big toes to touch, or if that's not comfortable, go ahead and let them open, but no more than, we don't want any more than hip width apart. So feet are planted firmly in the ground. Go ahead and feel your weight on your feet and go back and forth just a bit to the balls of your feet and then back on your heels. We want quite a bit of weight to be distributed in the back body, so distribute that weight more over your heels. Be mindful that your hips are stacked over your heels, your shoulders stacked over your hips. And finally, just let your head be comfortable. Don't have your chin up. Don't bring your chin down. Just have it level and comfortable, and the back of your head shifts back a bit to be stacked over the heels too. So this is our comfortable standing position. Go ahead and interlace fingers, the webbing between the fingers nice and tight between there. So your fingers are really turned on, your hands are turned on, but your shoulders are relaxed. So make sure they're relaxed by maybe bringing them up to your ears and then letting them slide down. Okay, so we've got our body kind of put into place. Let's add the breath with that. So let's inhale here together. And open mouth, exhale. Inhale here one more time. And open mouth, exhale. Now let's add a little movement to that. So inhale here and begin to lift those elbows up, up, up towards the ceiling. Spine stays straight, elbows lift, and exhale. Open mouth and gently push the chin back and look up towards the ceiling. Bring the elbows towards touching in front of your chest. And inhale. And exhale. Again, chin back, elbows towards one another to touch in front of your chest. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, we've done 3 rounds. We're going to do about 5 more. Inhale. Relax the shoulders and exhale. Open mouth. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do 2 more. Make these your deepest breaths yet. Inhale. There's no back bend in this, so keep the spine straight as we exhale. Just the chin goes back, gaze looks up gently. Don't overarch your back. Inhale, deepest one yet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. Change, Samastitihi. Hands come down by your sides, palms face the front. Do another rocking a bit back and forth on your feet to really just make sure you're connecting with where you're making contact with the earth here. And we'll move into half moon pose. There's 4 parts to this pose. So inhale, arms overhead. And the 4 parts are going to include stretching from side to side. So go ahead and just begin your own warm up here. We're going to stretch side to side. And then the other half, 2 parts, are going to be front and back. So go ahead and take some mini movements side to side, front to back. And I like to do actually kind of a circle with my upper body here in one direction. So I'm going to do 2 of those going this way And then 2 going the other way. So warm up the way you need to. I'm going to pedal the legs out a bit. Oh, bend the knees, lift the hips. I am really, really tight. I haven't done this series since I got sick 2 weeks ago. So, all right, let's go ahead and begin. Inhale, arms overhead once more. Interlace the fingers overhead and just release the index fingers for steeple grip. Inhale, lengthen out of the waist. Exhale and gently fall down to your right side with your upper body as hips shoot to the left. So upper body falls down to the right, hips shoot to the left, and keep those biceps engaged in framing your head. So biceps are by the ears. And I am bending on my right side, but I also want to be mindful that there's not a complete collapse in my right side body. So we definitely want some support in there as well. So if you find that you're collapsing too much, just come on out of it a bit. And what you really want to feel is a stretch all along your left side body, especially along those hips and that left side waist. So let's breathe here. Eyes forward, gaze gentle. Try to relax the shoulders. Half moon pose. This is half moon to the right. And change. Go ahead and come on up. Center yourself once more, neutral here in the middle, and we're going to gently fall to the left this time. So upper body falling to the left, arms engaged, your hands are in that steeple grip, and your hips shoot out towards the right as your upper body falls to the left. Half moon pose on the left. Remember to frame your head with your biceps. Try to keep everything in one straight plane here. It's as if I'm trying to squeeze between 2 panes of glass. So my hips are square, my shoulders are square. Breathe here. Steady gaze. Remember not to collapse on the left side body. Keep it a little, make sure you've got lift and control here in your side waist on the left side, and you're feeling that tremendous stretch on the right side body, right hips. Okay, let's really breathe. One more deep bend here and change. Go ahead, come on up. We're gonna head to a bit of a back bend now. And to safely get into that back bend, inhale out of the waist, keep the chest lifted, and let's all like shrug your shoulders up kind of towards your ears and then let them fall so you know your shoulders are relaxed. On an inhale, you lift the chest. On the exhale, you push the hips to the front of the room. So inhale lifts the chest and lifts the gaze up towards the ceiling. On the exhale, push your hips towards the front. Upper body falls back, and your hips push towards the front of the room. Breathe here. And change. Come on up. We're headed into our first forward fold for the day. So really deeply bend those knees as you come down to fold. Keep the spine straight. Bend the knees as much as you need to keep spine straight. I'm going to separate my feet just a little here. Pedal out my legs a bit. Maybe take even a squat down if you want. Okay, so to really get into the active part of the pose, we're going to hold again. Bend the knees deeply so much that you can rest your belly on your upper thighs. Rest the belly on the upper thighs. Let the hands go and let the head and neck go last. So now, with eyes open, your gaze is behind you in that space between your calves. And if it's comfortable to take a bind, you're going to take your hands, wrap them around the backs of your legs. Palms now turned towards the front of the camera and press against your calves or your ankles. Or you can slide your hands under your heels. But we want the elbows to be headed towards the back of the room. Head and neck are last to go. Let them hang. And just breathe here. Hips come up higher and higher with every breath, but stomach stays glued to those thighs. Breathe here. and change. So to turn on the core, bring arms overhead and use that core strength to bring you all the way up. Exhale, hands down to your side. We've got 2 more poses here before we break for a drink of water. We're moving into awkward pose. So step the feet hip width apart. This is awkward pose. There are 3 parts to this pose. So first part, hips, feet hip width apart. Inhale, arms up, arms strong and turned on. Maybe you can feel your triceps really fired up and turned on here. You're going to keep your arms straight and strong through each part. We're not going to drop the arms. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, sit back in your chair. Hips shoot back towards the wall behind you as you sink down in your chair. Try to keep that chest straight and lifted. Breathe here. Sitting back into that chair. Thighs are turned on. Your quadricep muscles and the top of your thighs really turned on, activated. Hips shooting back. Arms reaching forward, opposite directions pulling you here. And maybe you can lift the toes to make sure the weight is distributed in your heels. Chair pose, change. That was part 1. We're headed to part 2. My arms are still strong as I come up on tiptoes. So I'm just going to work on balancing on my toes here. If you'd like to take it further, you can begin to bend the knees and sit back in that chair again. The most important part of this pose, though, is for you to be as high on your toes as you can. So high on your toes, heels lifted. Feel a stretch in those toes. Feel a stretch in the front part of the ankles. Arms are strong here. Breathe, chest lifted, spine straight, and change. Drop the heels, let that go. I'm gonna rock 1 time off my toes, and then go ahead and lift the heels 1 inch off the mat. Knees come together. And then slide down the back wall. Spine straight, chest lifted, arms strong. Slide down the back wall with your heels lifted just 1 inch, knees squeezing together, and the inner thighs zipped up and strong. Breathe here. And change. Come on up with a lot of control, and then let everything come down into Samasthiti. I'm going to bring my feet back together, kind of do a little shoulder roll here. Samasthiti. Let's just take a breath here. Okay, we're moving into eagle. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, right arm under left. Go ahead and give yourself a self-hug here. Right arm is under the left. Kind of twist it out if you need to, rock it out. Elbows are connected. I'm going to begin to wrap my hands together like ropes in front of me, straight in front of me. Legs are strong, arms are wrapped together like ropes. Sit back in the chair, chest is lifted, and then with plenty of control, come up off the toes of that right foot and begin to lift it all the way up to your elbows if you can, as high as you can before you cross it over the left. So I go into tree really slowly with a ton of control. So I've got right arm under left and right leg on top. And then you can sink back if you want to. Drop those right toes for a kickstand. Go ahead. If you want to work on balance, just stay up on that left foot. Knees are in line under elbows. So my hips and shoulders, I want them to be as square as possible. Breathe here. Eagle pose. I'm a little wobbly this morning. And if, like me, you start to come out of it, you're wobbly, just go ahead and get back into it. And finally, just imagine everything is squeezed together down one center line of your body. And change. Go ahead and unwind, let that all go, walk it out, step it out. Arms overhead, and on the exhale, go ahead and take that left arm under the right. Again, I'm giving myself a hug on this side. Taking some breaths. And I'm gonna wrap those arms again like ropes on the left. Left arm under right, elbows, forearms, wrists connect. Chest is lifted as I sink back in my chair. And again, with a lot of control, use strength and control to bring that left knee as high as you can. The higher you get it, the more of a bind you can take. and wrap it over the right. You can drop the toes for a kickstand. You can lift the toes to work on balance. I'm a little more flexible on this side. This is the side where I can really begin to wrap the toes around the back of my calf. But sit back wherever you are. Sit back in your chair, keep the chest lifted, and just squeeze everything down into a line, center line in your body. Knees are under elbows, hips and shoulders are square to the front. Breathe here. And change, let it go. Everything unwinds, arms up. And exhale, arms down, Samastitihi. It is party time now, which means that we can take a drink of water after those first couple poses. Really happy to have you with me this morning. I see a couple people have joined. I'm glad. I wasn't sure how long it was going to take for me to recover from the strep throat. It was pretty awful. And even after symptoms were gone, after I got antibiotics, I was still really exhausted. So I ended up taking a second week off. So I'm glad to be back, but I'm also not totally feeling it, not feeling totally in the groove yet from being sick, but I know the only way to get back into that groove is to show up on my mat and keep going and keep going. And I encourage you guys to do the same. So it's so great to have you. Okay. We're headed to standing head to knee. So we're going to come back to the center of the mat, feet together. Remember to keep those palms facing the front of the room in Samastitihi. It's just a great way to use a rotation on your shoulders to open them up, chest lifted and broad. Okay, so balancing on that left leg, we're going to bring the right knee up. And it's going to be in a straight, your thighs in one straight line. I usually do this opening to just so that you can see, the viewers can see I've got a straight line here. And we're going to breathe here. This is standing head to knee pose. It takes about 4 stages to get into the final expression. So this is the first stage. And you can certainly stay here in stage 1. The next option is to lift out of the waist, pull the belly in, and on an exhale, as you squeeze the belly in, round down over that leg. So I did not move my leg at all to come up to my upper body. I moved my upper body to meet my leg where it's at. Take a grip here. You can hang on to any part of your calf, your ankle, or your foot. So I'm just going to hang out in the second stage today because I am still warming up and getting back to it. So just breathe here, balance, relax the shoulders. This takes a lot of work to just stay right here. And really be mindful of keeping your belly pulled in here. It's good practice as you move on to the rest of your day. Anytime you bend over, to keep that belly pulled in, it protects the spine. Breathe here. And change, go ahead, come on out of it. Gently lower that leg. The slower you go, the more control you're using, more muscle you're using instead of momentum. Now I'm adjusting my right foot so that it's really firmly planted down on the mat. Arms in that Samastitihi posture with palms open. And we inhale, left knee up. And I'm going to open up on this side since I did on the other to have some balance and to show you. You want to try to keep a straight line, a 90-degree angle here at your knee. Breathe here. Everything's turned on. You can wiggle that lifted left foot to kind of check in with it and your ankle. And if you went into that second stage with me on the other side and you want to do it again, we're going to inhale out of the waist. And then exhale, pull the belly in as we fold upper body over the leg. And find your grip here. It can be anywhere along your calf, down your ankle, or onto the foot. I've got a phone ringing behind me. I forgot to turn my ringer off. It's a good practice at not getting too distracted by my technology. Breathe here. and change. Go ahead and inhale up. Use control to lower your foot back down, and we'll move into dancer's pose. Inhale, arms overhead. And here's, well, I'll turn to the side. You can stay facing the front if you want, but I just want to show you. I'm going to drop my right arm, put my elbow at my hip bone here, and then drop the hand, palm faces out. That prepares my hand to receive this lifted right foot behind me as my left foot is planted into the mat. And again, I'm not going to push it too hard today for myself. So here's the beginning for dancer. I've got energy kicking that right foot into my right hand. That's going to begin to open up my front hip area, my psoas and hip flexors, as I also turn on my right glute. And finally, that left hand is lifted and palms face forward. So you can let that kick of the right foot be the propulsion you need to lower your upper body. Go at your pace and where you want. I'm just going to kind of work on staying right here today. So breathe here. Dancer on the right side. And I always know where my edge is when I start to get wobbly and off balance, and I back off just a bit. Belly pulled in and change. Let it go. Woo, shake all that out. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're going to move into the other side. I'm going to take a sip of water here too. Okay, so moving to dancer on the other side. Again, stay facing the computer screen if you want. I'm just going to turn so you can see me from the side. I'm going to go ahead and take my left elbow this time, left hip crease. Drop the hand here, receive the foot. Planting that right foot firmly into the ground. And even just right here, I can feel that opening because I haven't been stretching out my the front side of my body, my hip flexors especially, and psoas right here. I can really feel it just with my foot in my hand. Inhale, bring that right arm up, palm faces the front. Everything is just really turned on, fired up here. I still always try to relax my shoulders down and begin to kick that left foot into the left hand. Turn on the left glute. And I'm just going to do a couple dynamic movements of kicking, 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 feeling my glute fire up, my front body opening, and then let it go. And do it again. I'm really not going to go too far today, but I encourage you, especially I know several of you have been practicing with me over the weeks, to go ahead and go where you want today. I always just offer guidance. It's your body. You know what it can and can't do. I'm not one to completely push people, especially in yoga. That's not what it's about to me, but we're all on our own path. And change, let it go. Okay, again, let that all go. I'm going to open the door. I'm getting a little hot. The sun is out in Half Moon Bay. Always so happy when that is the case. Okay, so from dancer, we're going to go to balancing stick. So come to the back of your mat, and this time, rather than staying center on the mat facing the screen, you do want to orient yourself this way on the long, so you can use the long part of the mat. So come to the back of your mat, feet together. Prepare in Samastitihi. We'll just take a breath here. Ooh, it's never a bad thing to just calm yourself, slow yourself with one deep breath. In fact, I'm going to take another one. Inhaling here. And exhale. Okay, balancing stick. Inhale, arms overhead. We're going to interlace those hands again. We'll release the index finger, or the index fingers for steeple grip. Step forward on your left foot. The right toes flip and come up here, and with a ton of control, you're going to begin to lower your upper body as you lift your back right leg. Belly in strong. Try to relax the shoulders away from the ears. Lift that back leg. Pull your upper body forward. Stretch yourself apart. You should make the shape, or the goal is to envision yourself in the shape of a capital T. Breathe here and change. Let it go. Step right leg back, left leg back. Step right foot forward. Go ahead and come on to those toes. Flip the toes on the left side, and we're going balancing stick left side. Belly in strong, shoulders relaxed as you lower your upper body down and lift that back left leg. Breathe here. Back leg lifts, upper body stretched, pulled. Shape of a capital T is the idea. Even just imagine it if you don't know if you're there. And change. Let it go. Left leg back, right leg back, hands down. Good spot to take a drink here as we come to the top of the mat this time, facing the front of the room once more. Go ahead, take a drink of water, loosen yourself out. I'm going to check a few comments that came in. Hi, Carmen, Aaron, I think you guys are probably joining. Thank you. I love my new red pants too. I'm happy to see you guys. Happy you joined. Okay. So, top of the mat, we're facing the front of the room. We're headed into separate leg forward fold. So inhale, arms up. Exhale, step that leg out, arms to a T. This is maybe one of my favorite postures and the one I'm so careful about getting into, because I really think this posture of all of them instruct us on how to move for the rest of the day. So it's a great practice and posture to be really mindful of, because it translates to so many other things. So here I am, legs apart, arms in the shape of the T, bend the knees just a little. Just kind of go back and forth, bend one, then the other. Get a feel for how your joints are moving, your knees and hips and ankles, okay? So knees are at least micro bent. And then I'm gonna push the booty back as I dive forward through my chest. So it's so important here to come down in this way. This is a hip hinge. Anytime we bend forward, we want to hip hinge to protect the back. And you'll see that is so different than the way we're used to folding forward, which leads with the shoulders in the back. I'm demonstrating the way not to do it here. Instead, we want to lead with the booty and the chest comes forward. Okay, so we come down. If you make it halfway down with a straight spine like I am right now, you can drop the hands, let them touch the mat, and keep those hips high and spine straight. And here I'm going to bend the knees and go back and forth as well, just like I did before I went down. So bend the knees, back and forth. I feel more stretch happening now in my inner thighs. Okay, and when I feel like it's safe and I'm warmed up and ready, I can go ahead and keep lifting the hips, lead with the chest, and head and neck are the last to go, but you do eventually want to let them go and just hang and relax. So you might want to shake your head back and forth or nod it up and down to make sure your neck is relaxed. Finally, if it's comfortable, if you like this, take your hands and slide them down your legs. Take a grip along your calves or your ankles or the outside of your feet, and really use that bind to press your hips up to the ceiling. Head and neck hang. Your vision, your drishti or your gaze can be at the mat in between your toes, or if you really want to let it go, it can also look behind you. Breathe here wherever you are in this forward fold. If your spine begins to round, then back off that fold just a little and or bend your knees a lot more. Breathe here. Okay, to come out safely, plant the hands on the mat in front of you. Inhale up to that halfway position, and here's a good core exercise. Arms out to the T halfway and use core strength to bring you up, and still everything together at the front of the mat, using all core to direct all of that motion. Arms down to your side. Take a breath. Samastitihi. Okay, we're headed into triangle now. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale it out. Again, we're setting up like we were in that last pose. But now I'm going to take my right foot and just turn it to the side. Bend at the knee, right knee, and try to keep that knee stacked over your ankle. So if you have to make adjustments, do. My left foot, the blade of my foot is parallel with the back of the mat. Breathe right here. And you want to take your arms from this T and just tick-tock them to 6 and 12. So this is triangle. If you want to take it a little deeper, take that bottom hand and push it along so that it meets your knee. Gently press that knee open a little more to really open up in the hips. And final expression is to lower down upper body as you twist and look towards that lifted left arm. Breathe and try to keep a lift in your upper body. Don't completely collapse everything down in your upper body. Keep a lift. Breathe here. And change. We'll head to the other side. Inhale, arms up. I'm going to turn the right toes in, and now the left toes go out. Bend that left knee. Again, left knee stacks over ankle. So make whatever foot adjustments you can to make sure the left knee's over the ankle. And the blade of my right foot is parallel with the back of the mat. Okay, arms are at that T, and I'm just going to take them and turn them to 6 and 12. So this can be your triangle right here. If you want to take it further with me, take your hand and gently, again, coax open that knee super gently. Don't force it. That really will help open the hips up. And then as I begin to lower down, my gaze lifts and turns up to my lifted right arm and lower down while still keeping a lift in the upper body. And I have to always be mindful to let my hips and ribs on this top side sink down. I need them to sink because I have a tendency to keep them lifted and high. Sink those hands or the ribs and hips down. Whew, breathe here. Strengthening, strengthening. And change. Inhale, arms to the T. Everything comes together at the top of the mat, arms overhead. Let it go. Samasti Tihi. I'm going to take another drink. Okay, moving into standing separate leg, head to knee, also known as pyramid pose. Inhale, arms up here. Step the feet a little less further apart, not as far apart as we just did, maybe more like 3 feet or so. And hands are going to be in prayer position. So put hands in prayer and just cross one thumb over the other. Strong arms, but shoulders relaxed. It's kind of a challenge to do both of those things. Okay, so I'm facing the front and I'm just going to hop up on my heels, lift the toes, and turn everything towards the side wall. So I'm turning towards my right and everything is facing the side wall now, square to the wall, except for this back foot, which is at a 45-degree angle. From here, I'm going to micro bend that front knee and begin to, with a lot of control, dive over that front leg, arms staying strong by the ears. Dive over the front leg and eventually try to reach the blade side of the pinkies down to the mat. Try to keep hips square and level. Tremendous hamstring stretch on the right side. If you want to get forehead to knee, tuck the chin towards the chest and bend the knee as much as you need to let it meet your forehead. Belly pulled in. As you tuck chin to chest, really remind yourself to also pull that belly button in like it's going back towards your spine. Change, let it go. With control, come on up. I love to come out of the fold with my arms turned on by my ears because it still works the core. Okay, so I'm going to rotate everything over now, over to the other side. I'm now square to the room on this side, safe for that back foot, 45-degree angle. Arms are in prayer position, or hands are in prayer position. I'm going to change the cross of my thumbs. So it's kind of a more awkward grip now just to balance things out. Micro bend in the front knee and then begin to dive over that front leg. Micro bend in the knee. Try to keep hips level. I'm tighter on this side. I can already feel that stretch in my hamstrings on this side. I'm not going as far down. Try to get those hands down to the mat. And if you want to go head to knee, as you tuck your chin towards your chest, at the same time pulling the belly button towards the spine. You're headed to your knee. Just bend the knee to get it to the forehead. And I need a deeper bend on this side than I did the other. Oh man, this feels good though. It's what I need. Those poses that we dread because they're hard, are hard to get into, hard to hold, those are the ones we need to do. Okay, inhale, arms up. And at the same time that I step feet forward, I bring arms down. And we've got one more standing pose before we hit the floor. Wow, it's going really fast this morning. Okay, so we're headed to tree pose. So feet together, arms open, Samastitihi. I'm gonna begin with my right leg. So plant the left foot firm into the ground, open up your hips. So windshield wiper here, windshield wiper the knee. That lets you know what your hips are doing this morning. And find your tree. So from here, all I'm gonna do is lift my foot until I need to use my hand to help and figure out where it's gonna be comfortable to rest my foot. I just don't wanna do it in the knee. You don't wanna press your foot against your knee, but find any other spot. I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way up to my hip crease. I've got a bum knee on this side from doing a yoga pose that I pushed too hard, too fast. So I'm just gonna ask here if gravity will let my knee begin to come down. Eventually you do want your knee pointed down to the earth if you're coming into this final Bikram tree, which is to have your foot in your hip crease. So find your tree, and I'm gonna shut up for a bit so that we can just breathe for a moment. Find some calm and stillness in the day. Okay, change. That was great. Let go of that right leg. Thank it for what it just allowed you to do. And then you're going to ask that foot to plant firmly, root you down on the right side as you windshield wiper the left knee open. What are you going to let me do? Hips and knees. What are you going to let me do today? And then find your opening here. Rest on your toes if you want, or begin to figure out how high you can bring that foot up. Press into your inner thigh if you want, or your calf, or your ankle, just not the knee. And I'm going to keep going. Bring that foot up to my hip crease. And on this side, I can actually create a bit of a shelf for my foot to rest on my hip crease as the knee goes down towards the mat. And find your tree. We'll just be quiet here for a moment. Okay, change. Let it go. Thank you, left leg. Go ahead and take a drink here. Lie down on your mat for Shavasana, and we'll hit the floor for the floor series. Okay, lie down for Shavasana. Oh, I just saw the comment. I need to work on my breathing. I tend to hold my breath. Yeah, me too. It's one of the reasons I think we do begin and end the series with really intentional and somewhat uncomfortable breathing exercises, because even if we tend to hold our breath during the series or during the poses, at least, you know, the beginning is just being aware, especially by doing some breathing that's a little out of the ordinary. So, yeah, it's another reason I cue to inhale and do the movement and exhale and do another movement. I'm trying to remind people as much as I need to remind myself too on breathing. So go ahead and lay back. Think of breathing right here. Shavasana and the standing pose of Tadasana are both great poses to just be mindful of breath, because it's just lying here Or in the case of Tadasana, it's just standing and the breath can be the focus. So in Shavasana here, just breathe, feel your chest rise on the inhale and then feel it kind of collapse on the exhale as your back body makes contact with the mat. And feel the mat under your heels, under your hips, under your shoulders, in the back of your head. Take note of where it's connecting, where you're connecting with the mat underneath you, because this is the same way you want your weight to be distributed when you're standing, all in this back body, all lined up in one line. Okay, let's move into our first floor pose. Wind removing pose, which is the best name ever. Inhale, right knee up towards your chest. I'm already feeling this in my left psoas. So right knee up towards the chest and then angle it down slightly so the knee starts to come towards the armpit. And if you can, just give yourself a hug with those arms wrapped around one another. Perhaps grab on the opposite elbows, pull the knee in. Finally, fire up that left leg so it's like standing beneath you. You can squeeze the left glute if you want to really, again, feel the opening that's happening on the opposite side of that glute. And change. Let it go. Right leg down, left knee up towards the chest. Give yourself a bit of a squeeze and a hug here, and then start to angle that knee down a bit towards the armpit. So I move my boob out of the way and bring it down along my ribs towards the armpit. Take a squeeze with the arms here, hang on to opposite elbows. Fire up the right leg now and even turn on the right glute if you want. You'll feel more of an opening on the opposite front side of the right body if you fire up your glute. Pull the knee in. Feel a pinching on the left side at your hip crease as you squeeze it in and change. Let it go. And now we're going to inhale, both knees up. Then exhale as you pull in. Take a grasp of opposite elbows. If it's nice for you, you can roll a bit side to side to kind of massage the lower back. But the final expression of this is to really, the ultimate goal is to be a spine straightener and lengthener. So really press those hips down into the ground, pull the knees in and tuck your chin towards your chest so that you lengthen the back of your neck. Change, let it go. Legs down, palms to the sky, Shavasana. So let's do a really loud, audible inhale here together. And open mouth exhale. Let it go. Roll over onto your belly. Okay, we're headed into half locust, so roll onto the belly. Chin is down on the mat, and your hands are, we're going into cobra. Okay, we're going into cobra. So chin still on your mat, onto your belly. Palms are under your shoulders. Squeeze the elbows together behind you. Zip up your cobra tail. That's your ankles all the way up your legs. And just inhale and gently peel your upper body off the mat with your lower back strength, not your hands. And finally, begin to lift the chin just a bit. But this is not a crunching of the neck, so you don't need to look up towards the ceiling. Just softly look straight in front of you. Inhale it up a little higher. Turn on those legs. Exhale, let it go. Belly down, Shavasana. Right, left cheek to the mat. Turn your head to the side, and with your feet here, just let your toes touch and let the heels open up. So belly down, Shavasana. Let's take a breath here. Breathing is going to be the focus now that I got that comment from Carmen. Inhale and exhale. Okay, now we're going into half locust. So flip the palms so that they're touching the mat, palms down on the mat, and then just rock your hips from side to side so that you can slide your palms under your hips. Hip bones making connection here with your wrist or your forearms. Turn the chin so that it is on the mat, gazes forward, and then inhale, right leg up. Keep the legs straight and turned on. Barbie toes or toes pointed. Lift, lift, lift that leg. Let the left leg relax. And change. Go ahead, let it drop down. Now relax the right leg. Left leg lifts. Keep that left leg fired up and lifted, lifted, lifted. Barbie toes or pointed toes, you can play with it. Right leg is relaxed, left leg lifts. Change, let it go. Finally, we're going to do both legs, but first, scoot your hands down a little more so your fingertips go towards your knees, and then you are going to turn your mouth down to the mat and keep your mouth on the mat to protect your neck and lift both legs. And change. Let it go. I can't do too much cueing in that one because my lips are down in the mat. Turn your right cheek to the mat, belly down Shavasana. Let the hands go. Open them back up. And toes come together here as your heels just gently splay open. And let's do a breath here. Inhale and exhale. Okay, moving into full locust now. We've warmed up the upper body and lower body, so now we're ready for full locust. So arms come out to the shape of a T by your shoulders. Hands line up with the shoulders. Zip up your cobra tail, and you're going to inhale everything off the mat except for your hip bones. So everything comes off the mat and is strong and activated. Feet are engaged. Legs are straight and strong. Lift the upper body. Lift the chest. Gaze is straight. One more lifting of the upper body, lifting of the back body, lower body, and change. Let it go. Left cheek on the mat, belly down Shavasana. Take your mindful breath here and feel your belly connect with the mat as you breathe. And we're going to head to floor bow now. So this is the kind of ultimate expression of the past three poses we've done to warm up for this. Floor bow, bend at the knees, bring your heels towards your booty, and then you're just gonna reach back for your feet. And you can stay right here. In fact, I've had students who can't quite connect with their feet. So if you wanna just stay right here with your chest lifted and work on this flexibility, stay right there. If you can grasp onto your feet, do so. Plant those hip bones into the mat, and then inhale, kick the feet into the hands, lift, lift, lift the legs towards the ceiling, lift the chest, and rock just a bit back and forth here if you want onto your hip bones, ultimately resting your upper belly so that you can lift your legs even higher off the mat. Breathe here. Breathe and lift and really feel this connection. And change, let it go. Gently drop the knees, let everything go. Right cheek on the mat, belly down Shavasana. Another mindful breath here. Make it nice and audible. You don't get to do that a lot during the day. And we're going to head into a push-up. So palms under shoulders, flip the toes. You can stay on your knees if you need to, or otherwise, legs strong, lift yourself straight up into a plank, and then bend the knees, walk them forward, come to the front of your mat for fixed firm. So if you have a pillow or a block and you want to set it between your legs so that your booty can make contact with something, if you know that you're not comfortable getting it all the way to the ground, I really recommend you do that. Otherwise, knees are together here. Feet open up to create enough space for my hips to sink down, and I'm also going to move the tissue of my calf outward, outer rotation of the calves. Pull in the belly, hinge at the hips as you lower the booty down between your heels. And again, got to move the tissue of my calves, so fixed firm here. Find a comfortable seated position here. I don't think I'm going to head back today, but if it is comfortable for you, grasp onto your heels with your hands and begin to push yourself back, lowering first on elbows and finally all the way down to the mat if you want. I'm going to stay right here today. My knees are going to come slightly apart. And just kind of open up. Feel where you are today. It's one of the things I like about this series and the idea of repeating poses over and over and over, because our bodies are different every day. And you get a good sense of it when you're working on the same movements and the same poses, but feeling the slight differences from day to day. Okay, so let's go ahead and let go of that. Go ahead and with care, bring yourself back up onto your knees first, and then we're going to turn around for Shavasana. So back down on our backs. Lie down here. And in this Shavasana, in belly down, I said toes together and let the heels open up. When you're in Shavasana here, if it feels good, you can think of having the heels towards one another and the toes opening up away from one another, like pages of a book opening. Palms up to the ceiling. Let's take a mindful breath here. Open mouth, exhale. And now we're headed to a yoga sit-up. So inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, sit up. Come on up, flip over to touch your toes, giving yourself a bit of a hamstring stretch. On those Bikram sit-ups, it sounds like this. 2 audible breaths coming out of an open mouth to help propel yourself up. And that kind of breath work keeps a lot of energy and momentum going when we're on the floor here. Okay, so we are coming around to the front or to the back now for half tortoise. So come to the back of your mat, knees bent, sitting on your heels, spine straight, belly in. And boy, I've got a little extra belly to pull in lately with the old quarantine weight gain that is so popular. I think I saw somewhere on Twitter someone called it the quarantine 15. And I don't talk about weight and weight gain and things like that very often, especially with younger viewers, anyone under 35. I just don't even want them to worry or think about it. But it's real and I'm feeling it too. So anyway, that's a reminder that any extra belly you got going needs to pull it in before you pull forward. Okay, inhale, arms up, prayer hands, cross one thumb in front of the other, belly in and shoulders relax. And then with core strength, so you want to go slow. This is not a race. With core strength, lower yourself down over your legs, gaze down at the mat, and the goal here is to bring the blade of your pinkies that are together down to touch last after your nose and forehead. Get there first. And that really creates an opening in the armpits. Breathe here. Let your hips heavy sink onto the heels and push in with the blades of those pinkies opening at the armpits. Inhale, exhale, and we're going to change, but with control. We're coming out, core strength fired up the whole time, arms strong along the head, and exhale, arms to your side, lie down for Shavasana. Okay, heels together, feet kind of open up like pages in a book, hands towards the ceiling, breathe here. Okay, headed to the yoga sit-up. Remember, 2 audible breaths, and I also advise you if you have back problems not to do the sit-up, or if you just want to avoid sit-ups in general. Otherwise, inhale, arms overhead with me, and exhale, sit up. Sit up, touch the toes, hamstring stretch, and come around to the front of your mat for Camel. I haven't done this series for 2 weeks, and I'm kind of it's taking me a minute for everything to click back into place, all the names and the order of the postures. Okay, in Camel here, I often recommend that people use block. In fact, I'm going to grab one. I didn't have it set up ahead of time. I'm checking comments too. Okay, yeah, good. I'm glad people are doing good. Okay, so with Camel, I recommend taking a block and placing it between your thighs. I do this for hip and knee stability. I have a bum knee on one side. And otherwise, even if you aren't worried about knees right now, it still can engage the inner thighs, and we need to work those muscles. So squeeze that block between your legs. My legs are parallel, the heels are parallel, and straight in line with the knees. And I'm just going to put my hands in my imaginary back pockets in my red yoga pants. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, push the hips forward. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, push the hips forward. The final expression, if you can keep a lift in your lower back and it doesn't completely collapse, is to reach back for those heels. Breathe here. And change. With control, let go with the hands, bring upper body forward, move that block and turn around on your back for Shavasana. Time check here. Oh, we're gonna run over time, like probably by 10 minutes, it's fine. Okay, so inhale, arms overhead here. Exhale, sit up. And come around to the back of your mat for rabbit. So just like the back of our mat before, we're coming to the back, sitting on the heels. And this is the one fold that I am going to direct you to begin with your chin and a rounding of the spine. And I just want to point that out because I just encourage people to be aware of the differences in how you can actually fold, because some are safer than others. And you want to know which one you're choosing to do to keep yourself protected doing it. Okay, so reach back for your heels with your hands. Inhale here to prepare, and on that inhale to prepare, just remind yourself to relax your shoulders. On an exhale, tuck your chin to your chest, pull your belly button in, pull it in, and begin to round down over your legs so the crown of your head is headed towards the mat, forehead to knees. Once you're there, take a grip on those heels and lift the hips towards the ceiling. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Belly in, belly in, belly in. Breathe here. And change. Come up with the same control you went in and come out of it with the chin last, just like the chin was the first to get in it. Let that go. Lie down on your back for Shavasana. Let's take a mindful breath here. Inhale, arms overhead. We're headed to a yoga sit-up. Exhale, sit up. Touch the toes and come over to the front of your mat and center for separate leg stretching. So my right leg is out here. Left foot in. Find your center at first, center over your hips and really feel your sit bones connecting down on the ground. Inhale, arms up. On an exhale, we begin a twist and a lowering, leading with the chest over the right leg. Lead with the chest. If you like to bend the knee a bit, that's fine. Make connection wherever you can over your right leg. Breathe here. And if you're going to let your head and neck go, which I do recommend, at least remember to pull that belly in as the head and neck goes. Oh, okay, let's come on out of that. Bring the right leg, or right leg in, left leg out here. Get a feel, every side is different. This feels a little different on my left side than it did my right. Make the adjustments. It feels on this side a little harder for me to actually square up and feel both my sit bones under me. So I just make some adjustments here. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist, and exhale, let all that air out. Ooh, yeah, this side is tight. As you go ahead and lead with your chest over the left leg. If you let your head and neck go, remember to pull the belly in. Breathe here. And change, come on up, lift everything up here, and then we're gonna take both legs straight out in front of us for one more fold. Then we'll head into final spinal and the last breathing exercise. So we're almost done. Okay, so bend the knees as much as you need to. Feel the connection of your sit bone down on the ground in front of you. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold, leading with the chest. Bend the knees as much as you need to, and I walk my hips back a bit to make sure my sit bones are connected with the ground, with the mat. Now, if you want to make this dynamic, it can feel really good to inhale and lift yourself up out of it, and exhale, bringing your chest down and your forehead to your knees. And I'm going to do that 2 more times. So inhale up, exhale, fold. Inhale up, exhale, fold. Okay, we'll come on out of that. We normally do 2 more sit-ups, but I'm going to, for the sake of time, go ahead and skip forward right into final spinal. So this final spinal pose is left leg under right, right leg folds on top. You can also keep the left leg straight if you need to. Press the foot of that right leg into the mat. Inhale, right arm up and left if you want, or you can keep left hanging onto your knee here. And then exhale as you twist over to your right side, towards the side of the leg that's on top. Breathe here. Inhale, lengthens. Exhale, takes you further into the twist. And on an exhale, you can gently twist yourself back out of it and just switch the cross of your legs now. So the right leg is underneath, left leg is on top. I have a wet dog off to the side of the camera who's just come in from the beach, and she's by the door, a little sad that she's not coming in right now. Okay, press the left foot down into the mat. Make that connection. Inhale, left arm up, or both arms if you want. I'm going to keep this right arm connecting with the leg here. And then exhale as you twist over the top leg. Keep the chin neutral, and in fact can be angled down a bit towards your left shoulder. And just kind of feel out how this feels in your neck and your spine. Every inhale lengthens you, lifts the chest. Every exhale takes you deeper into the twist. And change. We'll come on out and head to breath of fire. This is our final pose, final breathing exercise. Just find a comfortable seated position. I'm sitting back on my heels. You can also just sit crisscross applesauce if you want. Remember, in this breathing exercise, it's like blowing out a birthday cake, and your belly snaps in on the exhale. So shh, you can put your hands on your belly if you want to feel that. Shh, shh, shh. Okay, so get a sense for what that feels like, and then let your hands rest comfortably. That's really important, just to keep the shoulders relaxed, chest lifted, and we're going to begin. And inhale to prepare, and exhale. Inhale halfway, and begin. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it all go. All right, that concludes Monday mornings, April 26th, 60-minute Bikram series. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for having me back, even though I'm a little rusty. And like I said, don't feel like doing your yoga. The biggest anecdote to that, the way to get over it, is to do your yoga. I'm a living example right now. So it's awesome to have you. I'll be back this Wednesday at 8 a.m. for the same series, and then Friday morning, 8 a.m. for a vinyasa flow class. Vinyasa is different. We do a few different poses, and it's more flowing movement and not as many shavasanas and resting periods, and not as long of holding the poses. So it's fun to mix it up. Thank you for joining me. Everyone have a great week. I know sometimes it feels like the days of the week are getting more and more arbitrary, but yeah, happy Monday to those of you who are recognizing that it is in fact Monday. So I love you all. Thank you. Sharing is caring.